One of the most important children's authors of recent times is Roald Dahl. He was born in Cardiff in 1916. Eccentric and imaginative author, he writes books especially for children. Dahl was defined rebellious, irreverent, and disrespectful towards the adult figures he writes about. The protagonists of his novels are often children. In his books there is also magic that occurs within the urban world of the petty bourgeoisie or the working class. Dahl also presents situations with Dickensian echoes. In his story, the child is often oppressed by poverty or by adults, or both. However, the author comes to the aid of his characters using fantastic means. When they aren't evil or oppressive, Dahl's adults are generally unable to look after their children. As the 19th century tradition, Dahl punishes his characters, whether they are evil parents unable to educate their children or the result of this inability represented by spoiled children who play the role of antagonists. A central theme of Dahl's stories is that of the orphan. The protagonist separated voluntarily or involuntarily from negative adult figures thanks to a positive character. One of his most famous novels is The Chocolate Factory, from which many movies take inspiration. The last one is The Chocolate Factory by Tim Burton. Charlie Bucket, the protagonist, lives with his poor grandparents and his parents in a small wooden house. Because of their great poverty, they eat cabbage soup every day. Only for his birthday, Charlie receives a chocolate bar as a present. Few days before this date, Willy Wonka, the owner of the most famous chocolate factories in the world, announces a competition. 5 golden tickets has been put in 5 of his chocolate bars, and who will find them will spend an entire day in the chocolate factory and will win a prize. The lucky children who find the tickets are August Gloop, a chubby and greedy child, Veruca Salt, a young girl spoiled by her father, Violet Beauregarde, attracted only by the appearance, just like her mother, Mike TV, a boy addicted to video games and television, whose reactions are violent as much as his passions, and finally Charlie Bucket, the last boy who finds the ticket. At the entrance of the factory, the 5 children and their parents meet Willy Wonka, an extravagant man, who shows them the factory, where they are attracted by its amazing things, such as the Oompa Loompas, who Mr. Wonka met on a trip into the jungle. They decided to work for him in exchange for cocoa seeds, which they love. While visitors are guided through the factory's rooms, 4 facts occur. August Gloop wants to drink from a duct of melted chocolate flowing like a river, but he falls and he is swallowed up by a tube. Violet Beauregarde tests an experimental chewing gum that feeds as a complete meal, becoming purple and swelling like a balloon. Veruca Salt wants a squirrel that works with the Oompa Loompas, so decides to take one of them, but he throws her in the rubbish. Mike decides to be televised in the TV commercials of Wonka chocolate bars that allow viewers to take one of them from TV and eat it. The child becomes small as a chocolate bar. Charlie, the only child who doesn't have vices since his poverty taught him to be easily satisfied, wins the competition, and Mr. Wonka gave him the factory, where he moved with the whole family and helps Mr. Wonka to invent new sweets. Tim Burton remains quite faithful to the book, but in the movie there is an important difference linked to the adolescence of Willy Wonka, who has always had a bad relationship with his father. When Charlie refuses his offer because he should separate it from his family to manage the factory, Mr. Wonka will reconsider his life and will make it up with his father. Dahl managed to take the reader into another world between dream and fairy tale. He managed to create wonderful fantasy scenes through original characters, locations, and biting metaphors sung by the Oompa Loompas in their songs. Burton managed to create these amazing scenes. Parents don't have a positive role, since it is their fault if their children are uneducated and insensitive. Charlie is the only positive character, together with his grandfather Joe. He is clearly the moral as well as the material winner of the competition. In this race among families emerges Charlie's good manners taught him by his family. The other families brought their children like them, eliminating their personalities. It is clear that Charlie's education is radically different. He always asks the right questions in an appropriate way, and his purity makes Mr. Wonka reflect. His values are based on his family that he wouldn't give up for anything, not even for all the chocolate in the world.
In the end, Charlie Bucket won a chocolate factory. But Willy Wonka got something even better. A family. And one thing was absolutely certain. Life had never been sweeter.